Alrighty, folks. Alrighty, I am coming to you live. Second here, I am bringing TikTok. Coming live on TikTok. Let me do. All right, there we are. There we are. Pretty loud and clear. And I have the book already by my side, so we are already ready to rock in for today's edition of the Stormer Show. As always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for paying forward your support in the form of likes, comments, shares, subscriptions. I am not that radio station, Indie 1023 here in Colorado. I'm not begging for donations right now. If you have the willingness and means to do so, is what I say, then by all means, my Venmo Stormer Show. Pay careful attention to spelling if you should choose to donate. It is STORMERSHOW, no spaces. If you have the donate. That is by no means my expectation, and as I've said, I am not in the position of desperation. I am not begging for donation. It is appreciated, though. It is very much appreciated if you should. Okay. And then, as I said, you do have other ways of supporting as well if you do not have monetary means. You can follow me on TikTok. You could share the show, tell your family, tell your friends. You can subscribe here on YouTube. I'm always hurting for subscribers on YouTube. It seems like the algorithm, it still hasn't been able to find me or push my channel out there. And if you can add to my sub count, it's like still like 6, almost not even there. Okay, but anyway, that's the reason why like saying that regularly. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do everything you can to support the show, please, and that way this can continue. This show can be all that it can. Very much is reliant on you for this show to be unqualified, qualified success because of viewers like you. Okay, so on that note, let's dive into the book. All right, we find ourselves in Principle 16, chapter 16, be willing to pay the price. People knew how hard I had to work to gain my mastery. It wouldn't seem wonderful at all. That was Michelangelo, Renaissance sculptor and painter who spent 4 years lying on his back painting the ceiling of the chapel. Behind every great achievement is a story of education, training, practice, discipline, and sacrifice. You have to be willing to pay the price. Maybe that price is pursuing one single activity while putting everything else in your life on hold. Maybe it's investing all of your own personal wealth or savings. Maybe it's the willingness to walk away from the safety of your current situation. But though many things are typically required to reach a successful outcome, willingness to do what's required adds that extra dimension to the mix that helps you persevere in the face of overwhelming challenges, setbacks, pain, and even personal injury. Pain is only temporary. The benefits last forever. I remember back to the 1976 Summer Olympic Games when the men's gymnastic competition captured the attention of the world. With the roar of the crowd in the background, Japan's Shun Fujimoto landed a perfect triple somersault twist dismount from the rings to clinch the gold medal in team gymnastics. With his face contorted in pain and his teammates holding their breath, Fujimoto followed a near flawless routine by achieving a stunning and perfect landing on a broken right knee. An extraordinary display of courage and commitment. Later about the win, Fujimoto revealed, even though He had injured his knee during the earlier floor exercise. It became apparent as the competition continued that the team gold medal would be decided by the ring's apparatus. Strongest event. Pain shot through me like a knife, he said. Brought tears to my eyes. But now I have a gold medal and the pain is gone. What was it that gave Fujimoto his extraordinary courage in the face of excruciating pain and the very real risk of serious injury? It was a willingness to pay the price. Probably a long history of paying the price every day on the road to simply winning a spot to compete in the Olympics. Practice, practice, practice. When I played with Michael Jordan on the Olympic team, there was a huge gap between his ability and the ability of the other great players on that team. But what impressed me was that he was always the first one on the floor and the last one to leave. That was Steve Alford, Olympic gold medalist, NBA player, and head basketball coach at the University of Iowa. Before Bill Bradley became a U.S. Senator from New Jersey, he was an amazing basketball player. He was an All American at Princeton University, won an Olympic gold medal in 1964, played in the NBA championships with the New York Knicks, was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. How did he do so well at this sport? Well, for one thing, when he was in high school, he practiced for 4 hours a day every day. In his memoir Time Present, Time Past, Bradley offers the following account of his self-imposed basketball training regimen. I stayed behind to practice after my teammates had left. My practice routine was to end by making 15 baskets in a row from each of the 5 spots on the floor. If he missed a shot, he would start over from the beginning. He continued this practice all through his college and professional career. He developed this strong commitment to practice when he attended summer basketball camps for high school players sponsored by the St. Louis Hawks' Easy Ed McCauley, where he learned the importance of practicing when you're not practicing. Someone somewhere is. When the two of you meet, given roughly equal ability, Bill took that advice to heart. The hours of hard work paid off. Bill Bradley scored over 3,000 points in 4 years of high school basketball. Olympic athletes pay the price. I learned that the only way that you're going to get anywhere in life is to work hard at it. Whether you're a musician, a writer, an athlete, or a businessman, there's no getting around it. If you do, you'll win. Don't you? Bruce Jenner, Olympic gold medalist in the decathlon. According to John Troop, running USA Today, the average Olympian trains 4 hours a day at least 310 days a year for 6 days before succeeding. Getting better begins with working out every day. By 7 o'clock a.m., most athletes have done more than many people do all day. Given equal talent, the better trained athlete can generally outperform the one who did not give a serious effort, and is usually more confident at the starting block. 4 years before an Olympics, Greg Louganis probably practiced each of his drives 3,000 times. Tim Zmeskal had probably done every flip in her gymnastics routine at least 20,000 times. Janet Evans had completed more than 240,000 laps. Training works, but it isn't easy or simple. Swimmers train an average of 10 miles a day at speeds of 5 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour in the pool. That might not sound fast, but their heart rates average 160 the entire time. Try running up a flight of stairs, then check your heart rate. Imagine having to do that for 4 hours. Marathon runners average 160 miles a week at 10 miles per hour. John Tripp USA Today, 1990. Consider this workout schedule of Michael Phelps, with 22 medals, most decorated Olympic athlete of all time. Usually at the pool by 6:30 a.m., where he would swim for an average of 6 hours a day. That's around 8 miles a day. Swam 6 days a week, including holidays. In addition to time in the pool, he lifted weights to add explosive speed to his regimen, spending an hour 3 days a week lifting weights, as well as an hour 3 days a week stretching his muscles. Most of you reading this will never become Olympic athletes, or do I want you to? Become world class in whatever you do by putting in the disciplined effort to excel at your chosen trade, craft, profession. Win at whatever game you choose to play, you need to be willing to pay the price. Not the thrill to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. That's Paul Bear Bryant, college football's winningest coach. 323 victories. including 6 national championships and 13 Southeastern Conference titles. Practice specific things consistently. Practice isn't the thing you do once you're good, the thing you do that makes you good. That was Malcolm Gladwell, author of Outliers, The Story of Success. While many athletes, musicians, dancers, comedians, and other gifted people practice their sports skills, dance variations, and other routines on a regular basis, Dr. Christine Carter, sociologist at UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center, says elite performers differ in their approach to practice time. Not only do top performers practice more than people of average talent, they spend hours upon hours in what she calls deliberate practice. Rather than merely plunking away at the keyboard because it is fun, they practice to reach specific objectives, such as to play a new piece that is just beyond their reach. Beginning, Dr. Carter continues, they may also practice a new phrase or even a single measure again and again. Positivelypositive.com, New Theory of Elite Performance. While deliberate practice is rarely pleasurable, usually difficult, and quite often boring, elite performers' willingness to practice in this goal-oriented way is what sets the world's best apart from people who are merely good at something. In other words, they don't just practice for fun. They practice specific things consistently over a long period of time. Here's this quote from Jeffrey Colvin, author of Talent is Overrated. What really separates world-class performers from everybody else. I highly recommend reading Talent is Overrated by Jeffrey Colvin. Story of Success by Malcolm Gladwell, more about the power of deliberate practice. And Outliers, Story of Success. In reality, the deliberate practice is hard and is good news. It means that most people won't do it. So your willingness to do it will distinguish you all the more. What's more, numerous studies now show that this commitment to practicing toward a specific goal is what helps elite performers overcome a lack of innate talent and prevail over deficiencies in their physical body. Since consistent practice can actually help develop better physical characteristics such as perfect pitch, more flexible joints, higher octaves, and other attributes. Legendary violinist Isaac Stern was once confronted by a middle-aged woman after a concert. He gushed, "I'd give my life to play like you." "Lady," Stern acidly, "that I did." Determined to be an artist at any cost. In the 1970s, Weiland was the classic starving artist who threw everything into his dream. Painted and he hustled. He would set up art shows at his local high school and sell original art paintings for just $35, knowing that the only way he could develop as an artist was to sell his paintings for whatever he could get to earn enough money to buy the necessary supplies he needed. And one day, in what was to become a defining moment for the young artist, Alan's mother told him, "Art really isn't a job, it's a hobby. Go out and get a real job." The next day, she dropped him off at the Detroit Unemployment Bureau. To Weiland's dismay, he was fired from 3 different jobs 3 days in a row. He couldn't keep his mind on the boring factory work. He wanted to be creative and paint. A week later, he built a studio in the basement and worked day and night creating a portfolio that eventually won him a full scholarship to art school in Detroit. Weiland painted every moment he could, and he managed to sell some paintings, but for years he just managed to scrape by. But because he was determined that art was the only thing he wanted to do, he continued to work, hone his craft. One day, Weiland realized he had to go where other artists flourished and where new ideas were born. His destination was the well-known art colony of Laguna Beach, California. With his dream fully alive, he moved into a cramped, tiny studio where he both worked and lived for several more years. Eventually, he was invited to participate in the annual art festival, where he learned to talk about his work, interact with collectors. Soon after, galleries in Hawaii discovered him, but often sold his paintings without ever paying him, claiming their overhead was high. Out of the frustration of finally selling high-priced paintings only to have the money disappear, Weiland realized he had to own his own galleries. In his own galleries, he could control every aspect of selling his art. How it was framed and hung to how it was sold and who it was sold by. Today, 36 years after opening his first gallery in Laguna Beach, he creates as many as 1,000 works of art a year, some of which sell for $200,000 apiece. Creates artistic collaborations with the people at Disney, owns 4 homes in Hawaii, California, and Florida. lives the life he always dreamed of. Perhaps you'd like Wylie and want to turn your hobby into your career. You become hugely successful doing what you love if you're willing to pay the price. Beginning, you've got to kind of suffer, Wylie says, giving in to everybody else. There's nothing better than eventually achieving success on your own terms. Willing to do whatever it takes. Gordon Wesky found his passion at an early age. When he was 6 years old, his parents took him to see his first movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. 2 hours later, he knew what he wanted to do with his life was make movies. Growing up in Toronto, Canada, he made it through high school making short films with friends on outdated equipment. But they were enough to slap together a demo reel that got him accepted to a top film program at a Canadian university. He did well there until his third year when he made a decision that threatened to derail him on his way to his dream. With only 3 edit suites available for 150 students to edit their films on, he constantly found himself unable to book an edit suite. That's when he made the choice to take matters into his own hands and stole a security pass card from one of his professors, so he could sneak in and work from midnight to 5 a.m. to finish the film. For the first week, everything went well. He rolled around. He invited 2 of his buddies to come in so they too could work on their film projects in the neighboring edit suites. But in the third week, having finished their film projects, they decided to celebrate in their secret haven with their girlfriends and booze. At the party, the campus police busted in on them, and Gordon was expelled from the university. Gordon suddenly found himself with no degree and a pending trespassing charge. Still wanting to get into the film business, he gathered what little confidence he had left, went knocking at all the studio doors asking for a job. Any job. Even offering to work for free, he was met with the same old cliche. Don't call us, kid. We'll call you. 2 weeks went by and his phone didn't ring once. And then it hit him. If I'm going to make it in this business, I'm going to have to stand out from all the rest and never take no for an answer. At the time, Toronto hadn't quite hit major studio status yet, and most production offices were dirty old steel mills converted into sound stages. Hard to imagine now. It was so bad that whenever it would rain, film production would grind to a halt due to the echoing sound of raindrops pelting down on the tin-plated roof. Knowing the grimy conditions, the second time Gordon visited each rundown studio and production office that had rejected him, he went armed with a bottle of Windex and a roll of paper towels, and asked for permission to clean their toilets. Some laughed, weren't sure if he was serious or not, while others gladly said yes, following it with, "Kid, I'm still not going to hire you." Gordon did this every day for a week, they religiously cleaning the dirtiest of dirty production office toilets that had once been graced by steelworkers. He encountered dirt on top of dirt, but Gordon worked until that porcelain shined. He also made sure to leave his phone number and name credit, name credit behind, because one thing he had learned about the film business is how important your name credit is. In fact, on the back of every stall door, he attached the following sign to his resume: "Washroom cleaned by Gordon, looking to get my foot in the world of film. Will work for food." Even though his film resume and experience on paper was slim, he made sure his work spoke for him with the cleanest toilets in town. Think about it. What a perfect place to hang your resume and get someone's undivided attention, while they're sitting on the toilet with nothing else to do but read what's hanging in front of them. Time and unknown to Gordon, there was a team of Los Angeles producers scouting Toronto to see if the city was a suitable match for Boston, setting for a film they were looking to shoot. It turned out that in every production office they visited, they noticed a resume inside the toilet stall. It actually became a game of theirs to look into each production office facility to see if Gordon's resume was hanging there. One night, Gordon's phone rang and he was hired by the Los Angeles producers for 2 weeks, happily working for food and gas money as he ran errands for them. The 2 weeks were up. He called him into their hotel room and shared the good news. The movie had just been the green light, had just been given the green light, and shared the good news. I'm sorry. The movie had just been given the green light and was going to be called Good Will Hunting. Good Will Hunting. Even better news, the producers made Gordon the personal assistant to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who at the time were 2 relatively unknown actors, but were about to become superstars. Because of his willingness to pay the price and do whatever it took, within a month of being expelled from film school and having his dreams crushed, he ended up working on an Academy Award-winning film that changed his life. After the success of Good Will Hunting, Gordon went on to work on a long list of Hollywood blockbuster films for some of the industry's biggest names, including Steve Martin, Hugh Jackman, John Travolta, Charlize Theron, Gene Hackman, Michelle Pfeiffer, Helen Mirren, Forest Whitaker, and Morgan Freeman. 2011, Gordon was asked to join the DreamWorks development team working alongside his personal hero, Steven Spielberg, the director of Close Encounters of the Third Time, the movie that had originally inspired Gordon's dream. Today, Gordon is the president of Camwood Entertainment, a global entertainment company headquartered in Toronto, Canada. And the sweetest part of the story? Not only has Gordon been invited many times to speak to the graduating class of the university that expelled him, they dismissed all trespassing charges. Putting in the time. The big secret in life is that there is no secret. Whatever is your goal, you can get there if you're willing to work. Oprah Winfrey. Talk show host, actress, producer, author, and philanthropist. Part of paying the price is the willingness to do whatever it takes to get the job done. No matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, no matter what comes up. It's a done deal. You're responsible for the results that you intend. No excuses, just a world-class performance or an outstanding result that can be counted on. Consider this. Ernest Hemingway rewrote A Farewell to Arms 39 times. This dedication to excellence would later lead him to win the Pulitzer and Nobel Prizes for Literature. M. Scott Peck received only a $7,500 advance for The Road Less Traveled. However, he was willing to pay the price to fulfill his dream. During the first year after it was published, he participated in 1,000 radio interviews to advertise and promote his book. He continued to do a minimum of one interview a day for the next 13 years, keeping the book on the New York Times bestsellers list for over 694 weeks, or more than 13 years, a record, selling more than 10 million copies in over 20 languages. Michael Crichton created the Emmy Award-winning television series ER. His books have sold over 200 million copies in 30 languages, 14 have been made into films, 7 of which he directed. His books and films include Jurassic Park, The Andromeda Strain, Congo, Twister, and Westworld. He's the only person to have had at the same time the #1 book, the #1 movie, and the #1 television show in the United States. With all of his natural talent, Michael said, books aren't written, they're rewritten. It's one of the hardest things to accept, especially after the 7th rewrite hasn't quite done it. Talent is cheaper than table salt. What separates the talented individual from the successful one is a lot of hard work. That was Stephen King. Best-selling author with over 50 books in print, many of which have been made into movies such as Carrie, Cujo, and The Green Mile. It's about building momentum. When a NASA rocket takes off from Cape Canaveral, it uses up a large portion of its total fuel just to overcome the gravitational pull of the Earth. Once it has achieved that, it can virtually coast through space for the rest of its journey. Likewise, an amateur athlete often puts in full training days with Spartan self-discipline for years. After winning a gold medal or a world championship, offers for endorsements, spokesperson contracts, speaking engagements, retail merchandise deals, and other entrepreneurial opportunities often come pouring in, allowing them to slow down a bit and take advantage of the momentum they created earlier in their career. Likewise, in any business or profession, once you pay the price to establish yourself as an expert, a person of integrity who delivers high-quality results on time, you get to reap the benefits of that for the rest of your life. When I started speaking, no one had ever heard of me. As I delivered more and more speeches and seminars that delivered what the client wanted, my reputation grew. I had a file full of glowing testimonial letters, track record of credibility that was built up over many years of giving free and low talks until I had honed my craft. Same was true for writing books. It took many years to get good at it. If you're involved in network marketing, you have to put in countless hours in the beginning, not getting paid what you're worth. You may work for months with no real income, but eventually the multiplier effect of your going downline takes effect. Eventually you're making more money than you ever imagined possible. Creating momentum is an important part of the success process. In fact, success people know that if you're willing to pay the price in the beginning, you can reap the benefits for the rest of your life. Going through the awkward stage. Business consultant Marshall Thurber has said, anything worth doing well is worth doing badly in the beginning. Remember, when you first learned to drive a car, to ride a bicycle, to play an instrument, or to play a sport, you understood in advance that you were going to be very awkward at first. You assumed that awkwardness was just part of what was required to learn that new skill that you wanted. Not surprisingly, this initial awkwardness applies to anything you undertake. You'll have to be willing to go through that awkward stage in order to become proficient. Children give themselves permission to do this. But sadly, by the time we're adults, we are so often afraid of making a mistake that we don't let ourselves be awkward. We don't learn the way children do. We're so afraid of doing it wrong. I didn't learn to ski until I was in my 40s, and in the beginning, I was definitely not good at it. Over time, with lessons, I got better. Even the first time I kissed a girl, it was awkward. Gain a new skill to get better at anything you want to do. You have to be willing to keep on going in the face of looking foolish and feeling stupid for a time. Find out the price you have to pay. Of course, if you don't know what the price is, you can't choose to pay it. Sometimes the first step is to investigate the steps that will be required to achieve your desired goal. For example, many people, perhaps you, say they want to own a yacht. Have you ever researched how much money you'd have to earn to buy one? Or how much it costs to harbor the yacht in your local marina? Or how much the monthly maintenance, fuel, insurance, and license cost? You may need to research what it costs others have had to pay to achieve dreams similar to yours. I want to make a list of several people who've already done what you want to do and interview them about what sacrifices they've made along the way. You may discover that some costs are more than you want to pay. You may not want to risk your health, your relationships, or your entire life savings for a certain goal. You have to weigh all the factors. That dream job may not be worth your marriage, your kids, or a lack of balance in your life. Only you can decide what is right for you and what price you are willing to pay. It may be what you want doesn't serve you in the long run. If it does, find out what you need to do and set about doing it. That was Principle 16, be willing to pay the price. Next time, Principle 17, I will be going over the chapter titled Ask, Ask, Ask. That will be in the tomorrow edition of the Farmer Show audiobook series. Best principle. Okay, my camera has gone the way of the dodo on my computer. Memorial Day is coming up, so I might creating my technology, either my computer itself or my camera. That way YouTube has a clearer picture. TikTok doesn't have that problem, as you can see book the entire time. There you have it. Be willing to pay the price. Next time, ask. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to support the show. I appreciate all the support that this show should receive. Every like, comment, share, subscribe, donation. TikTok, please follow. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Sleep tight. Have a good night. I've been your host, Homer Show. Signing out. Wishing you all a lovely night.